give up to go on the ISS, how did going to space make it worth it? Over. Hi, my name is Noel. How do you stay fit in space? Over.
We stay fit in space by working out on a resistant exercise device that uses vacuum cylinders instead of weight. Also, we have a simulator for a bicycle and a treadmill that uses bungee cords to hold us on and forward.
My name is Maya. As a young Australian woman who wants to go to the ISS later in my life, what skills should I focus on? Over.
Maya, I would recommend that you focus on doing things that are outside of your comfort zone. Do things that you love, but always do things that involve some risk of failure. Really push yourself and try to learn a lot. Always do your best to make sure that those around you are doing their best as well. Over.
Hi, my name is Charlie. What is the best thing about microgravity, and is it difficult to go from the environment of the Earth to that on the ISS? Over.
Charlie, the best thing about microgravity is the complete freedom of movement. However, adapting to that coming from the Earth is challenging initially. Fortunately for me, this being my second flight, the adaptation was much more easy. Over.
Hi, my name is Julian Paraboya. Have you seen any unexplained or suspicious occurrences during your time in space? Over.
Julian, I haven't experienced anything that wasn't later explainable, but one time we had a container full of M&Ms, and overnight the M&Ms, instead of floating randomly throughout the sphere, all ended up on one side of the sphere, and when we talked to the ground control team, we realized that it was due to orbital mechanics, and it now makes sense to me. Over.
My name is Lani from the International Space Station. Can you see the climate of our planet changing or geophysical hazards? Over.
George, I have seen fires, I've seen hurricanes, I've seen volcanoes, and something else we can see from space quite well is shrinking of glaciers. Over.
Okay. My name is Lex. Why does fingernail delamination happen? Has it happened to you? And if so, how painful is it? Over.
Lex, I understand the question about why the finger delamination happened. I'm not sure I copied the rest, but I'll answer that. I have never experienced it myself, but I do know people that have had lost fingernails because of the inside the gloves when we're doing EVAs. And just like if you're hiking with shoes that don't fit well on steep terrain, you can lose toenails. That happens to us in space with our gloves, which kind of act like shoes in space.
My name is Holly. What goes through your head while on the launch pad about to launch? Over.
Holly, fantastic question. Honestly, the first flight, so many things to do with the spacecraft as a pilot, that the thing that was going in my head was do not mess this up. I had so many things to check. That's all I had time to think about. This time, I just tried to soak it all in and tried to pay attention to everything so I could do well. Over.
My name is Cameron Reeves. What are the specifics of the sewage/water systems, and how different is going to the toilet on the ISS? Over.
Cameron, I guess to make it really simple, big differences. On the space station, we use airflow.
My name is Tiffany. What inspired you to want to be an astronaut? Over.
Tiffany, I wanted to be an astronaut because of the combination of physical and mental challenges, the ability to explore, and also the opportunity to serve all of humanity. Over.
My name is Charlie. What is the most important aspect of your training in preparation for living in space? Over.
Lots of technical training been lived up on the space station. I think the most important training is the training to get along well with each other. Over.
on the effects of space flight on cardiovascular stem cells revealed anything promising? Over.
Question, I actually tried to look up some results of that. There's 3 scientific papers that have been published, but it's not the time to read any of them. If any of you want the information on space station research and get links, possible papers, you can download an app called Space Station Explorer, and that gives you lots of information over.
My name is Amy, asking Sophie's question. Is the Milky Way more beautiful in space than it is on Earth? Over.
Sophie, so in space, to see stars and so you need to be looking in the right direction away from the Earth. You need to have very little light where you are that will count light. And you have to have little atmosphere. In a desert, you have a huge view of the sky, like many places in Australia. And if you're far enough away from cities, very little light. On the space station, we certainly have less atmosphere to deal with, but we have a harder time looking away from the Earth because windows routinely that look in that direction, and also we have to shut down a lot of the equipment to get all the lights turned off. So I would say that my best experiences with looking at the Milky Way have still been the Earth's surface in a desert. Over.
My name is Natasha. Are you able to FaceTime people on Earth? Over.
Natasha, great question. I do not have the ability to FaceTime people on Earth. I do have the ability to do video teleconferences, and NASA has supported me doing that with many of my family members. Over.
My name is Jackson Cook. How was the ISS built? Over.
Jackson, the ISS was built by a series of space flights, all in parts. Many parts were built in different countries, and it's actually very amazing. Time we were able to check to make sure everything fit together was in space, and the engineering standards were such that it always worked. Over.
My name is Emma, and this is Emma Amy Laura's question. Have you been to the ISS and back many times? And if so, is it hard to get used to the gravity of Earth and the atmospheric pressure? Over.
Emma, Amy, and Laura, I have only been to the space station twice. So I returned to Earth once and come up here twice. When I returned to Earth last time, it was hard to get used to the gravity of the Earth and standing on the surface instead of floating above one. The atmospheric pressure was not a problem to get used to because we have an atmospheric pressure inside the space station that is very similar to that on the Earth. Over.
My name is Chloe. What is the coolest thing you have done in space? Over.
Chloe, the coolest thing that I've been able to do in space was 4 spacewalks. Over.
Hi, my name is Laura, and this is Eloise and Laura's question. How do you cut your hair and shave in space without making a mess? Over.
Eloise and Laura, I personally use an electric razor, and then when I want to clean that up, make sure I'm near an intake vent with a very fine mesh filter. And then once all that hair gets collected in that filter, I can just wipe it up with a wet wipe. And our hair clippers that we use is actually attached to a vacuum cleaner. So as soon as the hair comes off the clippers, it gets sucked right into the vacuum cleaner. Over.
My name is Josie, asking Noah's question. How do you plan enough food for up to 6 months while you are there? Over.
Fortunately, there's a team of people at NASA and other spaceflight centers that actually plan that for us. So, and they deliver the food on cargo spacecraft. So when I got here, my food for 6 months was already in place, but I'm happy to report it's plentiful. Over.
My name is Natasha. What is the weirdest food you eat on the ISS? Over.
Natasha, interestingly, the food we eat on the ISS, other than always having to drink out of bags, it's pretty normal. I would say the weirdest thing for me, has been taking a dehydrated beef patty, rehydrating it, waiting for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then opening that package, and it really seems like a fresh beef patty that has just been cooked. Over.
My name is Cameron. Is there Wi-Fi in space? Over.
Okay, it appears we've lost the Okay, just a quick hooray or applause for the astronaut. Well done, Monaro. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just shared a wow moment of history. Amateur radio station November Alpha 7 Victor, operated by Nico Payne, contacted astronaut Mark Vande Hei, KG5 GNP, on board the International Space Station and spoke with students at Monaro High School in Cooma, New South Wales, Australia. Now, for the International Volunteer Centre Varus, including the American radio satellite corporations around the world, the American Radio Relay League, the Canadian Space Agency, the European Space Agency, the Japanese Space Agency, Roscosmos and NASA, this is Shane Lynn, your ARIS moderator, sending you my greetings in amateur radio term 7-3s, which means best wishes. That's a very good contact, done well. You've got 20 of the 21 questions out of the way. And thank you very much, Nico. Very good job on your side. Let me see. So, Delina in the control centre, you may now stop the recording. Thank you.
Thank you. And this does conclude today's conference call. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. You may disconnect.
No problem. Thank you very much, Delana. Appreciate your efforts for this hour of the day.
Thank you.
Well done, Nico. Good effort. Well done. Brett at the school, are you still there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Well done with your students. Got through almost all the questions. So very good effort on your part, and everything flowed very well. So some really good training there by the look of it. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. It's a credit to everyone here. There's a lot of practice and planning has gone into it, and thanks for your guidance as well. Over.
No problem at all. Some really good questions in amongst that batch, so they've done well. All right, so this concludes the event. Bob, thank you very much also for distributing